What's going on, everyone? So, Jeannie Buss the other day made comments about Anthony Davis arguably being the best player in the world when he was healthy. And there was a real argument for that. This guy led the league in 35 and 15 games. He led the league in 30 and 15 games. He was the best defensive player in the league by every metric. I mean, he was absolutely dominant when on the court and healthy and locked in and bought in and focused. And that was with a roster that just, it was terrible until the back half of the season once we did the trade. And even then, we were still trying to rush and expedite, and every game was so crucial. It was rough last season. Is this finally the season in which the torch is finally passed? Anthony Davis finally emerges as the clear-cut number one guy for the Lakers, and it finally has that MVP level campaign, right? We've seen Jokic win it twice. We've seen Embiid win it last year. There is a trend of centers getting recognition and attention for a potential MVP bid. And Anthony Davis and the Lakers are very likely going to be one of, if not the best teams in the entire league. They're probably going to be number one defensively. They were number one last year post-trade. And they're probably going to be top 3 to 5 offensively. They were 7th last year. And this team is way better than they were even after the trade that's last year, right? So if the Lakers are sitting at the 1 or 2 seed in the Western Conference, that is just an absolute juggernaut and a gauntlet, then, and Anthony Davis is clear-cut, far and away the best player on that roster, then Anthony Davis absolutely has the opportunity and potential to be the MVP. And maybe even the defensive player of the year because he's that good defensively, especially if the Lakers have the number one defense for the full season. And Anthony Davis is the anchor. Now, the problem, biggest problem, is him playing enough games to qualify, right? But even if he doesn't win it, right? Let's say he plays 60 games, and because he needs to play at least 65 to qualify. If the Lakers are still really good and he's the main guy, I don't really care necessarily about the accolades, right? I'm sure he does to an extent, but I care more about actually seeing him move into that position. LeBron James only has so many years left. LeBron James is not the guy in year 21, about to be age 40, to be taking over and having to be the guy that carries the team on his shoulders. He can't. Now, I don't think even Anthony Davis is going to have to do that this year because I think this roster is so deep, so talented, and has so much versatility and size that I don't think it's going to be like it was last year where, Anthony Davis and LeBron James were basically trading time where they had to carry everything and just be absolutely, superstar heroic just for us to even be competitive, not even necessarily win games, just be competitive, right? So this year, I think there will be a lot less pressure on Anthony Davis, but he was supposed to already have done this. 2020 looked like the year that's it. Anthony Davis has emerged. He won his NBA championship. He was the best player by far. I know LeBron James got the finals MVP, and look, he deserved it. It wasn't like he was out there being terrible. He was ridiculous in that finals and stuff, but Anthony Davis was very good, right? Like if Anthony Davis won the finals MVP, I don't think anybody would have been shocked or surprised by any stretch of the imagination. We need that AD back. I mean, it's been weird because it's defensively he's been fine, right? Still the best defense player. But offensively, it's like everything that he was good at, he like completely forgot, right? Like his ability to stretch the floor and knock down shots and be automatic from 15 out is gone. Like the guy's been atrocious. And he wants to play the power forward position more. Like there's no way he can do that regularly if he's not consistently knocking down a 20-footer, to 30 feet, whatever, right? If he's not consistently knocking down basically 15 outs, then you have to keep him at the center position because he's still money 15 in. And he's still so versatile around the rim and just an absolute bucket there. But he's got to get back to being the Anthony Davis. I mean, There have been like back when he was with the Pelicans, there were conversations about, is he the best player on the planet? The dude has had some ridiculous seasons, some ridiculous games. He has talent unlike anybody else. He is overall, all around, better than pretty much anybody in the league. Name me a player. Anthony Davis is better when he is 100% locked in, focused, and healthy. He's better than everybody in the league. Because there's nobody as versatile offensively as him and defensively. Right? Giannis is as good defensively, but he has nowhere near the bag and offensive game that Anthony Davis has. Giannis has improved and worked on a lot, but he's not Anthony Davis on the offensive end. He's not. Jokic. He's an excellent playmaker. He can score the basketball. Nowhere near defensively what Anthony Davis is. Embiid, same thing. Absolute just weaponry on the offensive end. Nowhere near what Anthony Davis is defensively. Anthony Davis should be in the conversation year in and year out as the best player in the world. And it should it should be to the point where it's not even a question. Where it's like, okay, yeah, this guy is clearly the best player in the world. And there are times where that is a thing. There are times where you watch Anthony Davis go off for like 42 and 20 and he has like 4 assists and 4 blocks and 2 steals, and you're just like, dude, this guy's a real basketball player. You're just like, this guy really exists. And he just looks unstoppable. But then you see him follow that up with like a 12 and 5 game or something. You're just like, what? Like, did he only play 5 minutes? Like, what happened? Right? And that's the problem. It's the lack of consistency at times. And look, I love, to an extent, I love Anthony Davis's unselfishness, right? Because a lot of superstars are selfish. They want to get their stats. They need to have the ball in their hands at times. Like, Anthony Davis doesn't care as long as they're winning, right? Like, and it's something that I defended him on in the playoffs, right? Like, we won the game. We didn't need him to go get 30. If anything, that might have cost us the game because everyone else had it going and everyone else was cooking. And, like, I don't mind him having a game here and there. Everyone has them, and they're usually bad games, but I would like to see Anthony Davis not have a bad game, but go get you 12 and 12. And it's like, well, Anthony Davis didn't score 30. It's like, yeah, because we were up 30 the whole game. Because Anthony Davis dominated on the defensive end, went 6 of 7 from the field, and the game was over, right? Or, everyone else had it going. Like Rui was shooting the lights out, or, Austin Reeves went off for 40 or something like that, right? I love that Anthony Davis is unselfish. I love that Anthony Davis is a star that all he cares about is winning. You hear him talk about it all the time. Like, I don't care if I drop 40 because I want to win, right? And that's good. That's a great thing to have. Not a lot of stars have that. But it's the games in which we do need him to go get 30 and he fails to do so. That's where it becomes a problem. That's where my concern lies at times with him. Because I want to see him really establish and dominate himself. But in his defense, the Lakers have to get him the basketball. I mean, even Darvin Ham criticized and made fun of himself for not getting Anthony Davis the basketball. How many times did we see the Lakers just completely fail to get him the basketball? That's one of the things that I think D'Lo is going to be extremely important with. And I might even do a video about that independently because I should probably go into that a little more. But D'Angelo Russell was the one guy that actively tried to get Anthony Davis the ball. And one of the best plays in all of basketball was the D'Lo-Anthony Davis pick and roll. That might be where D'Angelo Russell really shines for the Lakers, is being the main guy that can get AD the basketball. So that's a very big, important thing. You need Anthony Davis to actually be incorporated into the offense for him to score. There shouldn't be he's in the game 10 minutes, and 9 of those 10 minutes, he doesn't get the basketball. Or in that 10 minutes, he only gets one shot attempt. How can he be your number one guy if you're not trying to get him the basketball? But it would also help if he could knock down 15 feet out. Because instead of him having to establish himself in the post pretty much every possession because he can't shoot the basketball from the perimeter, then it makes things more difficult because teams can pack the paint more. But if he can actually stretch the floor, he can now come out like we saw in 2020 and get the basketball at the top of the key, or get the basketball in the corner, or get the basketball in the arc part of the three-point shot, and either pull up, knock it down, or at least have the defender have to reach out, and then he can just kind of work his way down to go hit a 15-footer or just take him off the dribble and get to the basket. So it's accountability and capability on both sides, right? Anthony Davis also needs to be more assertive, more demanding of the basketball. LeBron has to, in my opinion, really establish him. LeBron has talked repeatedly about wanting Anthony Davis to be the guy, that he wants Anthony Davis to basically be the number one option, carry the workload, blah, blah, blah. It's one thing to say that, it's another thing to actually do it. Because we see a lot of times where LeBron James will say he wants Anthony Davis to be the guy, but then won't do the things necessary in order to get and allow Anthony Davis to be the guy, such as getting Anthony Davis the basketball. I mean, how many times do we see LeBron James just jack up endless threes and shoot us out of the game rather than getting Anthony Davis the basketball? But you want him to be the number one guy, right? And that's something that I think, I don't know if I'm hoping he won't struggle with that this year, because we saw him kind of make that shift and that change a little bit, especially in the playoffs. And he kind of was more willing to play within the offense rather than be the offense, and was more passive at times. How much of that was injury and how much of that was him actually making the effort to do so? If he continues to make the effort to do so, then I think Anthony Davis will be in that position to really thrive. But I really hope this is the year that Anthony Davis kind of, even if he's not the best player in the league, I mean, he's top 10, right? I need to see him move at least into the top 5 this year. I need him to at least be top 5 guy. And being a top 5 guy, that doesn't necessarily mean he has to go drop 30 a game or anything like that. There's plenty of guys that drop 30 a game that aren't in the top 10 or top 5. But if he can be, 25 and 12 with 2.5, 3 blocks per game, Lakers are the number 1 seed or 2 seed in the Western Conference. They're number 1 defense in the entire league, and top 3 to 5 offensively. Then Anthony Davis has moved into that conversation. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think this is the year? Do you think it's not? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.